and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about this book here, The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for you. But before we get started, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot if you could. And also, if throughout this video I say something you agree with or don't agree with, or you think I'm talking a load of rubbish, don't be afraid to drop me a comment, and I am more than happy to have conversations and debates with you. So if you see me like looking down or looking to the side at all, I've written out a whole load of notes about what I want to say. So yeah, I might be just looking at that. Right, so let's get into it, and I'm going to start by giving you all a quick summary. So our main character, Sybil Delling, is a diviner. She is one of 6 women who basically can dream about these beings known as omens, or also seen as God or gods. And people who are wealthy enough will pay and basically have their omens read, and these omens could be like good and bad signs, and it's kind of telling the future basically, but not like specifically. It basically just kind of saying like your future's going to be good or your future's going to be bad. The diviners, of which there are 6, and Sybil is known as 6 instead of her name throughout most of the book. In fact, she's not even meant to remember her name, but she does. They live a very sheltered life in Alien Cathedral. They're not meant to go outside, they're not meant to like interact with other people, but of course they do sneak out every now and then. And they only have pretty much the abbess, who kind of runs it all and is in charge of the ceremonies that makes them have these dreams and visions, and the gargoyles for company. The 6 diviners are also really close, they're like sisters. As they draw close to the end of their service, which is 10 years, and they think they're soon going to be getting ready to go out into the world, the king visits with his knights, and there's one in particular who kind of treats the omens and the visions with a little bit of disdain. He is rude, and he makes it no secret that he just doesn't like the omens. But when the other diviners disappear one by one, Sybil has no choice but to seek him out to help her find answers, and from there they go on this epic journey across the kingdom to try and find the answers she seeks. The world outside is dangerous, and after living such a sheltered life with no memory of her life before, Sybil is exploring it pretty much for the first time, and there's lots of drama, there's lots of fights, and it's just a lot of fun. So with that very broad overview, which I hope was coherent, let's get into the bulk of the review. And I'm going to start off by saying that for me it was a 4 out of 5 star reads. 4.5. There was a tiny little element that made it not quite the 5-star read, but other than that I found it a pretty epic book, and I enjoyed pretty much every moment of it. One of the little reasons why it's not 5-star read is because I ever so slightly, as you can see there, preferred her other duology, the Shepherd King books, a little bit over this new one. I just kind of preferred the magic system and the story in those books than I did for the Moth and The Night and the Moth. I did have reviews up on my channel about the Shepherd King duology, but I've taken them down because I'm really trying to improve on my reviewing skills. So I will be rereading them at some point this year and doing a more thorough, coherent review. But let's just go back to the book we're currently talking about. We're here to discuss that today, not these beauties. Now, there were many elements of this story that I absolutely loved, but the standout part of this book was one of the characters called the Gargoyle, and as the name suggests, he was a gargoyle. But this character was just so fun, so innocent, and he came out with some absolutely cracking lines that literally had me laughing out loud a few times. He was so cute and fun to read, and he literally lit up every scene that he was in. You just felt so much sort of compassion, and he was so endearing, and the way the other characters interacted around him was just so sweet, and he really brought this charm to the story that would be missing if he wasn't there. So yeah, the Gargoyle was absolutely perfect in every way, and he wasn't just like the comic relief. He also had quite an integral part to the story and to the lore of the story, and he had this really like emotional moments, just made him more than a silly gargoyle sidekick. He was an integral, important character, and I just loved him so much. So as I'm on the topic of characters, let's talk about our main character, Sybil, or Six as she is known, and she was a great protagonist to read from. I just really enjoyed her story and the journey she took through the book, as she went from a sheltered diviner to someone who is strong and sure of herself and kind of free. I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't want to like spoil anything that happens in the story, but just following her as she got to explore and find out more was really interesting. I found her to be really strong. Her badass moments were well deserved, and there were moments where she was sort of learning to accept herself, accept what she'd become. It made her just such an endearing, interesting character to follow, and her internal thoughts were also really interesting and engaging as well. And I just loved the journey that she took. Of course, we can't talk about her story without talking about Roderick, or Rory, who was our love interest. He was a fun character. Was I completely swooned? No, he's not like my favourite love interest that I've ever read, but he was still good. I enjoyed him as a character. He had a lot of depth. He was more than just, oh, he's so handsome, oh, he's so hot all the time. I mean, there was a few moments like that, but he was definitely more than just eye candy, I'd say. He did have a lot of character and some flaws. He was a person, basically. And he wasn't toxic either, which I feel like is the bare minimum, but that kind of feels like it's also a lot to ask for in a lot of romantasy novels. So yeah, he wasn't toxic. He was a bit of a smart ass. He was kind of sarcastic, but it was in a more like humorous way. It wasn't in like a nasty way. And as we went throughout the story, you saw like the softer sides of him, and he opened up a little bit, and that was really sweet and added more sort of development and made him more human than just character. The relationship he had with Sybil was really sweet. It was kind of like enemies to lover-ish, or like rivals to lover, perhaps is more correct. They had a lot of really fun banter between them. They had some great tension, and it was just super fun to read. Also, the romance didn't take over the fantasy, which I feel like is a problem that some romantasy books have, where it is just pure romance and any plot that happens is all revolved around the romance and the spice scenes, whereas this was a good balance between fantasy, story and romance. So it didn't take over completely, which was like, it's something that's quite important to me in the books that I read. Their relationship was just really sweet. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I liked them together. I shipped it. Maud was another standout character for me, but I'm not going to go too much into that because I want you to kind of experience that yourself as you read it. And as for the rest of the cast, the bad guys are good guys. Some of the villains were, I would say, a little bit just muhaha, I'm evil, which kind of made sense for what they were, but you know, they're not the greatest villains ever. But overall, the characters, their motives were understandable. They all had their own different personalities, so they didn't kind of just mush all into one person. I could tell who was who. There were no characters who I didn't like in some way and didn't feel were just plain and boring. So it all the characters gelled really well together to make a cohesive, fun story. So let's move on to the story and the plot. The pacing I found was great. I was engaged throughout. It literally took me like 2, maybe 3 reading sessions to get this book finished. So I was definitely on the edge of my seat the whole time. And yeah, the build up to the climax was also really good. I did not put that book down for like 2 or 3 hours. Seeing how the magic worked was so interesting, and it felt quite unique.
Very much went down the wrong pipe.
Might have to finish this when he is gone. You're so noisy! I'm gonna go cook dinner and do this later. I'm back. I'm hoping the light is still okay. It's like been an hour and a bit. The noisy other half is gone. I've cooked my dinner and now I can finish the rest of this review. So yeah, if things look a little bit changed, that's because I had to stop halfway through recording. So anyway, where was I? I was about to talk about the magic system. So seeing how it worked, especially with her first dream and vision and all the the visuals that came with it, was super interesting. I really loved it. The magic felt so unique and it's not really something I've read before. Like the way she got to her dreams was just visually so cool. I mean, it wasn't nice for her at all, but it was kind of cool. Now, this is where the story goes from 5 to 4 stars, however, and the reason it does is because I found, especially at the beginning, and with that first display of her power, a little bit difficult to follow. The way that the history of the omens or the gods was described in the form of the story told to people during the ceremony, it just wasn't that easy to follow along with and understand. So though I knew what was happening in the dream, I still didn't fully understand why it was happening or the world building around it. As the story got further along, I did begin to wrap my head around the magic system and the omens and the gods a little bit more and the symbols and what they did. But again, it took me a little while to get the hang of this magic and world. So that's what takes it down from the 5 to 4 stars. It's just that in the beginning especially, it was kind of hard to understand and follow the world and the magic system. But other than that, the concept of it, the imagery and the world building itself just felt quite unique and interesting and not really something I've read before. So I'm definitely going to be going back over it and sort of rereading it, doing some annotations on it and trying to figure out more so I can fully appreciate the story. Now, the ending of the book was just so good. It was full of suspense, action, and it wrapped up the story in like a really satisfying way, but also opened up new questions ready for book 2. So I'm so excited for book 2, and that's what you want in the ending of a story, is you want to be left satisfied that something has wrapped up, but also excited for the next part of the story. At the ending, it was so fun. I was on like the edge of my seat the whole time. It's also kind of heartbreaking as well, so as it was happening I was like, oh no, this is so horrible. But yeah, definitely worth all the build up and all the little hints and stuff. I didn't predict the ending. There was something that happened though that I kind of predicted where it was going a little bit, and I wasn't surprised by what happened, like with the twist. And that is, in my opinion, that means that Gillig's done a good job, because a twist shouldn't come out of complete nowhere. There should be little hints and stuff to have readers guessing and trying to predict, oh, I think this might happen, or I think this might happen. If a plot twist just came out of nowhere with no build up and no hints, then I don't think it's a very good plot twist. But it also wasn't too obvious that was so easily guessed. So I didn't fully guess what was going to happen. I just kind of figured out the direction it would go, and I'm quite happy with that. I think it was a really strong ending of a book, and like I've already said, I am so excited for book 2, and that sucks because it's gonna be a year plus away. I should not have read this book as soon to its release as I have, but I don't regret it. I just had such a blast reading this book. Every moment of it just had me feeling all the feels and sitting on the edge of my seats, just like wanting all my questions answered. It was just thoroughly enjoyable. And even though there were a few little areas that I didn't quite like the world building, didn't quite like it's too strong, but didn't fully understand, overall, I really enjoyed my time reading it, and I think that's the most important part of reading, is it doesn't always have to make full or complete sense. As long as during the reading process or whilst you've been reading the book, if you've enjoyed reading it, I think that's the most important part. So yeah, this book, 4.5 stars out of 5, absolutely fabulous. I would highly recommend, and you should go off and read it now, especially if you're a lover of fantasy and romantasy. It's just the perfect book for you. That's gonna wrap up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed my review and it's been coherent. If you agree with what I've said today, or if you disagree and you want to have a little debate, you know, in the comments, then yeah, just don't be afraid to leave your opinions down below. There are no wrong opinions when it comes to how we feel about books and stories. I would definitely be really interested in seeing if you all enjoyed it as much as I did, or if you didn't like it and what you didn't like about it. It's just so much fun seeing other people's opinions on different areas. That's what makes storytelling just so much fun in general, is how a book can impact people so differently. But on that note, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again soon with another video. Goodbye!